Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video. Now today I'm going to be teaching you what I believe is the new meta for looping on Ridgeview Court. Now I have done a looping video before and I showed you the method I use, but since recently I have switched it up and I've been talking about it a lot on streams, but I haven't made a video on how I do it and show you exactly the slight change I've made in how I loop, which has meant that basically I never get caught by the ghost and I have loads more sprint left at the end of a hunt as well. So without further ado, let me go show you how I do it. Okay, so we're in Ridgeview Court. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you the way I used to loop and the difference with that and how I loop now. So I used to loop, let's say the ghost is coming down the stairs in Ridgeview Court. I always like to loop clockwise, so I'd be going around this way when I'm looping the ghost. Now, firstly, what I don't do anymore is sprint straight away. I actually now do at least one entire basically round of the table not using a single sprint, and this works with basically any normal type of ghost. If you've got like a revenant or something, obviously this wouldn't really apply, but actually when you get to fast ghosts, looping in my opinion is actually easier because the ghost actually ends up spending so much time out here kind of going too far around the table. You actually end up saving more sprint. However, anyway, this is going off track. So I used to sprint, and I told you in the last looping video I would sprint at this point when I'm getting looped on. So I'd hit the sprint just around about this part of the chair. I'd hold it and then I'd basically be like, right, you have to make sure you don't make a mistake here. You go around the corner, you walk across, and then when you get to this point, you then tap your sprint again and you go across. Now, you actually end up using a tiny bit more sprint than you do in the new method that I have been using and utilizing recently, which, by the way, I've never been caught up with the ghosts when doing this method. So let's show you the way I now loop. So firstly, of course, let's say the ghost is coming this way. Now, obviously, first things first, you've always got to keep the ghost slightly closer to you around the table than further away from you around the table. So, for example, if I'm standing at this corner and the ghost is at that corner, there's no knowing which way it's going to hunt you. So you don't know if it's going to start running left or it's going to start running right. So what I would first say is wherever the ghost is, you need to be slightly closer to it on the table than you are far away from it around the table. So for example, if I'm here and the ghost is in that corner, I'm chilling, the ghost is going to come around this way. However, if I'm here and the ghost is at that corner, then it's probably going to start switch up on me and start running around this way. So you always got to keep it, and I'll keep my mouse kind of where that point would be. You always got to keep it slightly closer to you than far away from you around the table. So always, let's say, imagine this table is a circle rather than a rectangle. You always got to keep it at the opposite side, slightly on one side of the side you want it to run around on. So I'll always keep it slightly on this side. No matter where I am around the table, I'll always keep it slightly closer to me. Okay, so that's first things first. You understand the whole keeping the ghost close to you. Now, this is the main thing about the new loop that I do. So firstly, of course, the ghost will be running around the stairs. It will come towards me and I will do one whole circumference if it's a normal type of ghost without a single bit of sprint at all. I don't use any sprint at this point. The next step, I'm going to show you where I actually sprint now. Now, I literally tap my sprint every time. I never hold it with this new method. So when the ghost is running around this way, let's say I'm starting to loop it around this side of the table, right? I will not actually hold sprint the entire length of this of the table anymore. It will only be the ends of the table where I tap my sprint. So this one means that now when you hold your sprint here and then you release it, there's no fear of getting stuck on a corner, which tends to happen a lot when you're doing the sprint along here because it's quite hard to predict when you exactly tap your sprint. And two, you just use less sprint in general. So let's say the ghost is coming around here. Now I'll actually tap my sprint basically at this point. That's it. That's all. I'm tapping the button. I'm not holding it. So let me give you an example. So let's say I am leading the ghost around here. The ghost is, let's say, here at this point. It's running around. I won't be holding sprint, my sprint at all. And then when the ghost gets to about this point, I want to be about here. And then I tap my sprint. And the ghost will then zoom past. And then I walk the entire length. By that point, it started coming round and going towards this corner. And it's about to get to this chair. And by this point, I'm already here. And then I tap. and then I go around. And the beauty about this is as well, if you do, which you couldn't do in the last way a looping tutorial I showed you, but if you do go slightly far away from the table, it's not really the end of the world. I've never fallen into problems with it anymore. So you don't have to be as accurate with hugging the table as you did with my last method. So let's do a full working method of this to show you how it works. So walking, 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 tap, walking, 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 tap, walking, 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 tap, walking, 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 tap. That is it. And I'm going to show you with an actual ghost now and show you how crazy good this method is. Okay, guys, so I've loaded into a zero sanity game. I'm going to quickly show you how I do this in motion, and I will talk through it whilst I do it. And then when the hunt ends, I'll actually continue running just to show you how far you can go before you run out of sprint using this new method. So let's go. Let's get the lights on so we can see. And let's wait for a hunt. Here we go. Here's the hunt. Work out where it's coming from. It's coming from upstairs. Here she comes. Okay, so I'm not going to use my sprint at all yet. Still not using my sprint. Still not using my sprint. And tap. No sprint. Tap. No sprint. Tap. And we're just going to repeat this cycle over and over, keeping the ghost slightly to the right of my crosshair when I'm going around these corners, because I'm holding my D key. And as you can see, I'm just going to keep going. We still haven't run out of sprint. 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 We're still going. But we could just keep going. Still not running out of sprint. And now I've run out of sprint. So you could do basically 1.9 hunts without running out of sprint. And by that point, if you did use the cursed object and you have a curse hunt, you can probably get away with just crouching, which is a big part of looping, by the way. If you don't crouch, if the ghost is getting a little bit too close, always crouch, because you actually have a smaller hitbox. If the ghost is getting a bit close and you run out of sprint, you can actually just continue just going around the table until your sprint resets, and then continue the loop from where you left off. And there you go. You're completely sorted. And there you go. That is my new looping tutorial. I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more tutorial videos. And let me know in the comment section if this works for you and if it doesn't work for you, or any way that you think it could be improved. I feel like I've honed in on it. I've played thousands of games at this point with looping around, well, lots of different maps. But of course, Ridgeview is kind of the main map where you learn how to really loop using the table. But here again, if you think this was helpful, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.